Light. Look how beautiful.
Oh.
Hey everybody, welcome back to September Pies Season 2. Today is day 5 and we're gonna make our first savory pie. I have a little bit of an obsession, not obsession, I just have a fascination with hot water pastry crust. That's the crust that stands up tall and has like a lid on it. It's usually associated with like English pies, traditional English pies. I don't know what it is, but I think they're pretty magical. They seem as like cozy and comforting as it gets when it comes to pies. I haven't gotten to make too many of them, but when Kayla Marie, you suggested I make a samosa pie, I thought that would be perfect in a hot water pastry crust. I Googled it to see if it had been done. Sorry, Pearl is practicing flute. I Googled it to see if it had been done, and indeed it had been done. And somebody else had this thought before me. It was actually a New York Times recipe, or it is a New York Times recipe, and they have great recipes. I especially love Claire Saffitz. I think she's super charming. I love all of her videos on YouTube if you go watch those, and she really knows her stuff. But I digress. If you've never had a samosa at an Indian restaurant or at home, it's like this perfectly fried little envelope with potatoes and peas and spices, and it's so delicious, and usually have like a little sweet and minty sauce to dip it in. And when I saw Kayla Marie's comment, I thought, that's brilliant. That would be a great savory pie for dinner. And so today, the recipe that I found from the New York Times, I will link it. It is behind a paywall, but you can see it for a minute maybe. It uses lamb, and I thought even better. We'll put some lamb in there with the potatoes and the peas and the spices. I could not find ground lamb. In my area, lamb isn't eaten as often, so it's not as readily available. So instead, I bought like lamb meat, and I'm going to mince it or grind it myself. I'm not going to grind it. I'm just going to chop it up really finely. So that should be interesting, but it will probably work. Might just sharpen my knife, so it should be fine. But otherwise, we're going to make this hot pastry crust. Now, another thing I am doing, the recipe calls for only a couple cups of flour, and that just really worried me because so often when I'm making crust for pies, I feel like I don't have quite enough crust. And so I thought, I'm gonna make more crust than it calls for, and I'm actually gonna do it with the crust that I made last in season 1 for the cheddar and onion pie, because I know it works, except I'm gonna change it up one bit. I know lots of changes here, but instead of doing the butter, I'm gonna use lard. Now, I'm getting a lot of questions about lard, and I know a lot about lard. No, I buy my lard, this lard right here, at the local grocery store. Now, when you're looking for lard, you may think it's a specialty item, so you should go to your fancier grocery stores in town. But I've actually found the opposite to be true. If you go to this grocery store, at least in my area, that appeals more to the working class, maybe a little bit more discount prices, that's the only place I can find it. My fancy grocery stores must think they're too good for lard. I find this in my discounted grocery store. I don't know if it's at Walmart. I haven't looked for it because in my area, I'm going to Food Lion. This is the brand I get. This is the one that makes such great pies. I highly recommend it. Just to recap, I'm gonna make the New York Times samosa pie with lamb, but I'm going to use a little bit of a different crust. If you want to see the recipe for that crust, go to season 1 and look at the cheddar and onion pie, which will be the recipes in the pieberry in the description. But instead of using butter, I'm gonna use lard. Okay, without further ado, let's do it. Okay, it's been about 100 minutes since I took this pie out of the oven, and this pie really kicked me in the behind. It was really hard. I think it was a couple of things. One, I've only made one other pie with a hot pastry crust, and I love them because they look incredible. But I don't have a lot of experience. Coupled with, I think this recipe, even after I raved all about the New York Times and the recipes, was a little sparsely written. I'm like, I guess I'll figure out what that means when I do it. But it's done. It should be set up, and it's time for dinner. So we're having this for our dinner pie, and it's time to release.
Okay.
Ta-da!
Pretty good.
I'm gonna lift it. Will you get the it's the oil? And then I'm going to slide. Look how beautiful.
Whoa.
That looks pretty good. It smells delicious. I'm definitely glad I did the other crust where I had more dough, because it gave me a lot more to play with. I hope it tastes good. So we're gonna have this with a little salad. What I did was I also overmade the filling so that Eve and I, who can't have wheat, are just gonna have it over some rice, if you were wondering. But we should call everybody in for dinner, and then I will slice it and we'll eat it. I know that some of you were thinking what I was thinking. I had all those bones. And so yes, I did put them in, and I'm making a broth, and it smells delicious. If you've never made a broth, it's very satisfying to make a bone broth, and it tastes amazing. So that's been stewing for about 6 hours now. Here's the moment of truth. Do you want to come in close?
Let's come in close. Ooh.
It smells good.
Whoa.
Oh, it smells really good. It smells really good.
I'm going to try this out.
Salad to go with it, but Dad's going to try the pie first.
I'm going to try this first.
Since you have had samosas.
I have. Some samosas. Oops.
You've never had samosas with meat in them, though.
That's true. Okay, trying to keep this together. It's really good. The meat is really good.
Yeah, that lamb is good, huh?
It has a nice, what does it taste like? Really good.
Girl, you can go ahead.
Burl's like, please. It's really good. Yeah, that's really good.
What do you think of the crust?
It's rich. It's got a nice texture. It tastes just a little bit like the samosas that we've had like in Indian restaurants. It's really good. I like the meat a lot.
Or what do you think?
I don't know too much about Indian food, but it's pretty good. It's not like super strong, like some of the other ones I have tried.
Yeah, it's a pretty mild flavor, which is nice, but really good. Everybody wants to eat.
Here, Ash, can you hold that? So it's lamb. Tell me what you think.
You know, it's like a baked potato, with
It's
pie
better.
crust on it. I think it's really good.
my god.
Okay.
Oh, you're right.
I really like it.
So everybody said the lamb is good, doesn't taste gamey. Oh, that's really good. Not too spicy. I was worried it might be.
Oh, not at all.
The lamb is really tender. So mincing it myself worked. It was hard work. Everything was hard work. But I'm glad the crust held up, because it really didn't seem like it was going to, if you noticed in the video.
And it's super good.
Is it?
The crust, yeah, it's really good.
Was it? It's got a lot of
The more I'm eating it, the more I'm liking it.
turmeric in it, I think. Okay. Well, it's a win.
What does Eve think? Do you like it, Eve?
Good, yeah.
She does.
So we discussed it more as we continued to eat. The crust is very good. The insides are very flavorful. The lamb was good. Everything was great. It was just a little dry.
Yeah.
And as I was cooking it, I felt the same way. I feel like there might have been one ingredient left out or that the lamb they were using was super fatty, and so there was a lot of oil left over from it. Mine was lean, and so I added a half cup of water. But the strange thing is, in the recipe she said to add a slurry of cornstarch, and I'm like, I will add a slurry of cornstarch, but this is already super dry, just crumbly on the inside. So if I made it again, it was delicious. It was so good. I tasted the crust just so I could know what it tastes like. It tasted so good, rich and yummy. But I would add some sort of moisture to the pie, like whether it was cream. Yeah, probably just cream. I would probably put some cream in there so that it was a little bit richer on the inside and not so crumbly.
But it tasted really good. The meat tasted super good.
The flavor was really good.
The flavor was great.
So it's fun too. It was fun to make, and I hope to do at least one or more hot water pastries before the end of this second season of September Pies. They're just so pretty and so magical. And I want to get a little bit more comfortable too, because I was definitely like sweating during this. So
because you're nervous or because of how hard it was?
Yeah, well, you're just like, because you're like, I don't know, okay, you know. It's just a little intense when you're trying out new methods. But I want to get it to the point where I can throw together a hot water pastry crust. Because I know I've had a lot of viewers, some of you guys say that in England, if you have like leftover stew, you'll throw it in a hot water pastry crust. Say that 5 times fast.
Hot water pastry crust?
Yes. But I would love to be able to do that because they are so comforting looking. They just look beautiful. So we'll get there.
You'll get there.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming along. Like I said, check out the Piebrary in the description down below. We're putting every pie we've made in there from season 1 and season 2. If there's something that's not in there that you'd like to see me bake, let me know in the comments. I'm reading all of them, obviously. And yeah, having a good time. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.